it's this like sense of this feeling of accomplishment that I've never felt with anything before.
Mm.
Even though I was like, I was in the Marine Corps Special Forces, and like that was obviously very difficult to get into that and to get through that. But it's very different going out and having this thing, as you well know, this thing that just started with a thought, and now here I am doing it. Same with you, same with all of us that have walked this path, this entrepreneurial path, and have so far been successful with it. So yeah, it's really cool.
Seth is another success story that I'm really excited to bring to you. As you just heard, he was a Special Forces military guy for 4 years before becoming a nurse. And then he was bedside, and now here he is running a successful business. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Seth Radnothy. Let's get into this interview. Seth, thank you for joining me today, man. I love your story. I love you, man. You're an amazing dude. You've got a great background, even before nursing. I don't know if you want to talk a little about that, but super excited for you to get your story out there, especially I think some of the challenges you went through, even just in your own head as you were trying to stand up this business and get business, is really going to resonate with a lot of people. So I'm super excited for people to hear your story.
Yeah, I really appreciate you having me on here, Randy. It's been kind of a long time coming, right? We had this planned, a month and a half ago, and I was just down in the dumps and had to cancel because I just was not feeling like I was going to have a positive attitude coming across in this interview. So I'm really glad that we waited, because things have drastically changed since I canceled that first meeting that we had. So
yeah, I'm not going to tell you I told you so.
But you did. You told me so.
Man, tell us a little about that awesome background you have, and kind of what got you interested in legal nursing and how you ended up finding us.
Yeah, so going a little bit further back beyond my nursing career, I spent 4 years in the military, in the Marine Corps. And then once I got out of the Marine Corps, I messed around with, working in the restaurant industry. I went to massage therapy school. And then I came around to coming back to wanting to be a firefighter. And in order to be a firefighter, you have to be an EMT, and you also have to be a paramedic. So that's kind of the route that I went first. I was an EMT for 3 years, and then I went to paramedic school, and I did that for 7 years. And just after 7 years of working side by side with the fire department and being waken up all night long, I just decided that is not what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And my best friend / paramedic partner at the time was like, "Hey man, why don't you go to nursing school?" And my initial reaction was, "No, I am not going to go to nursing school. I don't want to do that." And he kept working on me and kept working on me, and I finally caved, and I went to nursing school in 2012, finished in 14, and for the first 5.5 years of my nursing career, I worked in the operating room. 4.5 of those 5.5 years, I travel nursed. And then on my last contract, when I was in Washington, my wife, who traveled with me the whole time, was really itching to settle down somewhere. And I applied for like 5 different jobs between where we are now in Carson City, Nevada, and Tucson, Arizona, which is close to where we're from in Scottsdale. And I just we decided that we would go wherever I got the job offer. And I ended up getting job offers from all the jobs. So that plan didn't really work out. So ended up taking a job here in Carson City and have been in the emergency room for almost the last 5 years now. What brought me to legal nurse consulting initially was actually my wife. She's been a paralegal for the last 20 years, and probably like 7 or 8 years ago, when we were travel nursing, she was doing a lot of medical record reviews, and she was coming to me on a regular basis, asking me, "Hey, what does this mean? What does this mean? I don't know what this means. This doesn't even seem like English. Can you translate this for me?" And that's kind of how I learned about legal nurse consulting. And then it fell off my radar for the next, 6 or 7 years, I guess. And then last summer, I just really started to feel burnt out with bedside nursing. and I joined a coaching and mentoring program where I actually ended up seeing a post that somebody was asking about legal nurse consulting. And that's kind of what got it back on my radar. And here I am.
So that coaching program you had already joined
Hmm.
wasn't specific to legal nursing. Was it just sort of more of a
No, no, it was really more catered to just in general alternative nurse careers,
yeah,
biotech industry type stuff. That program talks a lot about side hustles that you can do in
gotcha.
addition to non-traditional nursing jobs. I had just happened to see a post that somebody had asked, does anybody know about legal nurse consulting? And that was what kind of brought it back on my radar. So I did a little bit of research and just got on LinkedIn and started connecting with some legal nurse consultants on LinkedIn and ended up connecting with somebody there who had gone through Catalyst, and she referred me to Catalyst, and I think I joined like 2 weeks later.
Perfect, dude. Well, it's a good thing that you kind of piqued your interest when you saw legal nurse consulting,
Yeah,
because look at where you are now.
yeah, exactly.
And tell us a little about that. Since you've been a member of Catalyst, what kind of successes have you experienced?
So there's been a lot of downs, there's been a lot of ups. The successes are definitely, it has helped me get out of the hospital almost
Mhm.
completely. I have 2 shifts left until I go per diem at the hospital, and I don't know how long I'm gonna last doing that, which is totally okay with me.
Yeah.
I started marketing in January when I launched my business, and for the first 2 months, it was a real struggle. You know, f- Between the time I launched my business and to now, I've probably marketed to over 700 law firms. And it is purely a numbers game, like you have told us throughout the program. And it can be really discouraging, constantly getting turned down, constantly getting denied, constantly not getting anywhere with the phone calls. But you just gotta stay determined and keep making the calls, keep getting uncomfortable, and eventually it will be comfortable, which is kind of where I'm at the point where I'm at now. I 3 weeks ago, I had a meeting with an attorney and ended up getting 4 medical malpractice cases, which is
Go.
awesome. It's kept me pretty busy the past few weeks. I got an email from an attorney that I did a case for about a month and a half ago that said he has another case for me. He sent me that on Friday.
Repeat business.
So I think now in total, including 3 subcontracting cases that I've done, when I get that case tomorrow, I think that'll be maybe 9 or 10 contracts that I've
Wow.
got in the last 2 months.
All right. So you started marketing in January,
Hmm.
and it took you how long to get your first actual case?
I think it was about 6 weeks, 5 to 6 weeks till I got my first case, and I finished that, and then it was another, geez, I want to say probably so that would have been like middle of February. It was at least another month till I got another case. So that month was really, really difficult, really discouraging, and fortunately, I'm not a quitter and have never been a quitter and never planned on quitting, even though I wanted to multiple times. And I'm sure there's going to be times in the future that I'm going to want to also, but that's just not an option.
Yeah. So you went, okay, 6 weeks, which I know in the world outside of Catalyst, to get your first case in 6 weeks is awesome. But inside Catalyst, a lot of people get their first case quicker than that. And I remember
Yeah.
having a conversation with you on
Yeah.
one of our group mentorship sessions where you're
Right.
like beating yourself up, like, why haven't I gotten a case yet? And then you got your first one, and it was still kind of ghost town for another 3 or 4 weeks, it sounds like.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, now in the last, it's April 28th. So if that was like March, then in the last 5 or 6 weeks, you said you've gotten like 9 more cases. Is that
Yeah, I
right?
did a subcontracting case for another LNC that went through Catalyst, and then she just offered me another one last week, and then yeah, I got those 4 med mal cases. I
That's
got
awesome.
2 expert witness contracts, and then this case that I'm supposed to be getting tomorrow. So
That's amazing, dude.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you're totally right. I mean, you got to put in the work. I just had a conversation with someone today, and he was saying, it almost sounds too good to be true, Randy. I'm seeing all these testimonials on your YouTube channel. It almost seems too good to be true. And I said, hey, don't forget that most of those guys are saying, I'm very successful now, but it was hard and it was scary and I had to overcome my fears. And you've kind of mentioned those things too, that it was hard. You get a
yeah,
lot of no's. You were very uncomfortable making your phone calls in the beginning, but you didn't quit and you kept doing what we kept telling you. It's gonna work, it's gonna work. And here it
right,
is, working like a
yeah,
charm.
right. And to anybody that might be watching this video, you might be watching this video and thinking, how am I going to get business? How am I going to drum up cases with all these legal nurse consultants out there? And one of the biggest, I don't want to say struggles, but I want to say one of the biggest points of, I guess, frustration with marketing is you call so many attorneys and so many law firms, and the majority of the time, what you're going to get is, oh no, our staff does that. Oh no, we don't need your services. And that's the frustrating part is to somebody who says that to you, it's really, really difficult, as you know, to change their mind and get them to really recognize what a benefit having a legal nurse consultant on their team can be. So to that, I would just say to anybody that is questioning whether or not there's even going to be enough business out there when you get through the program, there is definitely enough business out there, and there are enough attorneys and there are enough cases. It's just a matter of finding the attorney that is going to take a chance, give you a chance, and see what you have to offer as a legal nurse consultant.
Yeah, man. And you're practicing what we preach. You blew their socks off, and now you're already starting to get repeat cases.
Yeah,
Now, I'll tell you what comes next, referrals. You're going to
right.
get repeat cases, and then you're going to get referrals, referrals, referrals. A lot of our new attorneys now come through referrals, and you're going to get there as well. And it's one of those compounding things. Like you got to get that big wheel turning, right?
Yeah.
All that work to pull and struggle and get the wheel turning. But once that big wheel's turning, it's hard to stop it.
That's what I'm looking forward to for sure, because I mean, this is probably one of the hardest, if not the hardest things I've ever done, is starting
Mm,
my own business and start trying to grow my own business. And that comes from somebody who spent 4 years in the Marine Corps Special Forces, and that was hard. But I definitely think that this is just as challenging, just in a different way.
mm.
But it's been more than rewarding so far, finally.
Yes, yes. It only gets better from here, man.
Yeah.
Well, what were some of the challenges that you were facing before you became a legal nurse and now a successful LNC entrepreneur? What were you facing in your life that now is kind of starting to get better? Maybe the big changes.
Um, well, career wise, you get to the point to where you realize that the only way you're going to make any more money is by working
Yes.
more overtime, working more 12-hour shifts. And for the longest time, I wanted all my shifts to be three days in a row so I could have 4 days off in a row.
Yeah.
Um, and my wife works from home, and now being the point that I'm at in my life, I am okay with working, clocking in, even though I'm not clocking in with my own business. I'm okay doing that 5 days a week because I'm not necessarily doing that for 12 hours every day. Sometimes it may feel like that because when you own your own business, as you know, there's always something to do. And so the lines kind of get blurred, I've learned over the last couple months of when am I off work and when am I on work? And it's
Totally.
just kind of like always, the answer is always yes, a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely can get blurred because I mean my wife was actually just telling me today she was coming home she went and had breakfast with a friend and then she went and got her nails done. And she runs my legal nurse consulting firm, right? And
Yeah.
she coming home And she said she was thinking she got that like feeling of dread like she used to get in the hospital if she had to run an errand or something and you got to hurry up and get back. She's like, I got to get home so I can work. And it kind of hit her like, yeah, I really don't. I've kind of been working while I've been waiting. I've been on my phone, talked to an attorney, texting with someone. And it does. It's like a work-life integration and
Hmm.
not so much a work-life balance. And that's
Right.
easy to do when you're doing something you love.
Yeah, it's really cool. I had that realization this weekend. Actually, my wife and I went to Galveston, Texas, for a wedding. A guy that I was in the military with got married, and we landed in Dallas. And I sat back in my chair as we were taxiing to the gate, and I was like, I just spent 3 hours working on the plane, making money, and so now when I get there, I don't have to do that, and I'm not stressed out about it. And I spent the next couple of days working maybe 2 hours a day, sitting in the hot tub with my computer out, working. And it was just like this really cool feeling of the reality of being able to work wherever I am is here now. And the cool thing about it is I made it happen with help, but I made it happen from just a thought.
That's right. You made your thought a reality.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, what do you think it was in Catalyst? Like, what were the one or two things that really helped you get there to realize this dream that most people never do?
Well, definitely think that the first thing, obviously, which is instrumental to being a legal nurse consultant, is doing the work, learning how to do the work, doing the
Yeah.
practice cases, submitting them, getting the feedback, and just kind of getting that under your fingertips. That was at times frustrating because it took so long to kind of learn the formatting and just kind of figure out how to put all the reports together.
Yeah.
Um, but beyond that, I really think that the biggest thing is it's just such a positive community. And you have built such a positive community. And the really cool thing about it is you don't just let anybody into it.
True.
You have that initial 45-minute, 30-minute, however long it ends up being, consultation with them. And I think it's important that if either party feels like it's not for them, that they speak up, because this isn't for everybody. Starting your own business, being an entrepreneur, it's not for everybody, and not everybody is going to be able to do it. I think everybody can do it, but you have to have the drive and the determination and the willpower to actually put in the work and do it when it gets hard and when you want to quit and when you're constantly getting those, no's, no's, no's on the phone, and just not taking it personally and just realizing that the more no's I get gets me closer to a yes.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, man, I love that you mentioned that because it's not easy. It's paved. The pathway is there. It's laid out for you, but you still got to walk it. And it's not necessarily an easy path to walk. I mean,
No.
most business owners fail. And not in Catalyst, most succeed, but outside
Right.
of Catalyst, just in business, business is hard. And you gotta do the hard stuff. And you've
Yeah.
totally done that. And here you are succeeding now.
Yeah.
Man, what this is I say this all the time. This is my favorite question. How has your life outside of business changed because of Catalyst and because of legal nurse consulting? And I love that question because it's not all about business, right? It's not all about just more money, more business. It's about life. So how has this impacted your life outside of business?
Um, well, regarding work specifically, it has drastically changed my attitude on work.
Mm,
Because I really enjoy doing the work that we do as legal nurse consultants.
yeah,
And for a while, I wasn't sure. Even after I finished the practice cases, I wasn't sure how much I was gonna like it. Only because it's so much time in front of the computer, and you spend so much time researching stuff to put into your reports. But what really has solidified for me in the last few weeks is um, the med mal cases that I got. I didn't think I was going to like med mal,
yeah,
but I really like med mal a lot, much more than personal injury already. And it's just it's the whole aspect of piecing together and taking all these pieces to this puzzle and putting them together to a cohesive report to help these attorneys build their cases. Um,
You sound like you've done some marketing and you know what you're talking about.
I've done a little bit of marketing for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
man. Well, what if now if somebody's watching this right now and they're like, Seth, I didn't spend 4 years in like special forces, man. I'm just a nurse. I hate that term, but I'm just a nurse, Seth. I don't know if I have what it takes to do this. I don't know if I should be a legal nurse. I don't know if I can trust Catalyst and Randy and what they've put together. What's your thoughts? What would you say to those guys?
I would say that if that's what you're telling yourself, then that's what's going to happen.
Hmm.
First and foremost.
Somebody's been listening in Business Accelerator Call.
Whatever you tell yourself is going to become your reality, obviously.
Yeah.
Whether you tell yourself you can or you can't do it, either one of them is going to be true. As far as trusting the program, trusting the process, trusting the fact that you're going to be able to do it, that is 100% up to each individual.
Mm.
But as I can attest, I joined this program and here I am going on 7 months later, and I would consider myself successful at this now.
Me
And
too.
I just plan on it getting, better and better from here. You don't have to have any crazy background with special forces or any 25-year long nursing background. I think that you just have to have the will and the determination to make your reality come true and endure when it gets difficult and not quit, because the only way that you're not going to do it, the only way you're going to fail is if you, one, don't start, two, quit after you've started.
Yes. Yes. And you hear us say that all the time that
Yeah.
you've got basically two ways to fail. One is to just quit. And once you're in Catalyst, two is to not listen to the feedback and just plow through and go through the motions. You got to listen. You got to grow. You got to chip away at all the hard stuff to continue growing, to learn what we're teaching. But if you put in the work, you're going to be successful just like you are, Seth.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, if people want to know more about you, your business, what you're doing in your legal nurse consulting firm, or get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to learn more about you?
So right here, where is it?
There
Right
he
there.
is. Yeah, right there.
PulsePointPros.com is my website. You could find me on LinkedIn. You could search just Seth Radnothy, Radnothy on LinkedIn. I also have an Instagram page, Pulse Point Pros LNC, with an underscore in between each word. So you could reach out to me there. If you want to email me directly, it's just Seth at PulsePointPros.com.
Perfect, dude. Well, thank you so much. This has been my honor. Thank you for your service.
No problem.
Thank you for trusting us. And I am so proud of you. And you are a testament that if you don't quit, you can be successful. I really
Thank you.
appreciate you,
Appreciate it.
man. And thank you for sharing your story.
No problem.